Hello, friends. Today is going to be the first episode of Storytime with Vory. Why Vory? Well, my name is Carnivorous Omnivore. Therefore, I wanted a cute-ish ending to that, so I took Vor, which ends off many of my names. And I don't know why. It is a shorter, nicer way to say my name, and you may call me by this if you wish. I sounded like a pretentious dick. Please disregard that. So today is story time. We are going to read something that I actually wrote myself. The title, The Knight's Embrace. Let us begin. As the sun's rays pierce the open window, a stray beam crosses over the closed eyes of a lone man. The light's newfound presence awakens the man with a feeling of joy as the new day dawns. He shifts into a sitting position on his bed and scratches the stubble which had sprouted during his slumber. Still groggy from his night's sleep, he fumbles to stand upright. Out of his home he trots into a nearby stream, so he may bathe the past day's filth and grime away from his body. As he undresses himself, he stops and takes a moment to view his surroundings. A beautiful forest clearing where on its edge rests his humble abode. The straw roof has a faint glow about it, as the early morning sun casts its light upon it. Nearby in his garden he sees a few small rodents scampering about, and some butterflies resting upon the plants. Now in the stream the fellow begins to wash himself, taking in the beauty still, noticing not very far away there happened to be a family of deer roaming his homestead, a mother and his 3 fawns, where they all play gently with one another, nuzzling and hopping about. This spurs a smile from the formerly stolid face of the faded man. As the day continues, his chores fall into place, cleaning his home, tending his garden, preparing his food for his later meals. And after all this is done, he goes within his home to rest for the eve and to enjoy his supper. Sitting beside a crackling fire, he muses on the pure perfection of his little home, out here in the forest where it is only him and the wilderness. With much content, he picks at his roasted rabbit and notices the golden haze of the day's setting sun. Beautiful it seems to him, but the slightest twinge of nervousness overtakes his mind, for he knows that in the setting of the sun comes the night, a time in which he has never been very fond. A short while later he sits upon the edge of his bed, peering out of the window-like opening on his abode, watching intently as the shadows of the forest grow, counting each and every moment that the sun is still visible. Soon the horizon shows the moon's ascent to the sky, and the man, wrought with an uneasy feeling, now tries to calm his grumpy nerves and attempts to lie for the night. But as the night makes its take upon the land, a feeling of dread creeps upon the man's once blissful mien, and he can only find himself staring again out that window. But rather than out of contented viewing, it is now in the watching of oncoming darkness. Upon the grass dark twists and furls in the most rhythmic dance as it overtakes the field, enveloping the sight of anything but the void. The moon's gentle glow provides no solace to the fear-wrought man, for the sky may have a gentle haze, the forest is now gripped by the shadows which he so fears. And again, the shadows seem to be in motion which is unlike light, but more like fluid, like that of water. It makes its way through the clearing and slowly onto the small yard surrounding the home. No longer can the man see the stream in which he bathed that morning, nor is sight of where the deer once pranced available. Only a fluid darkness is within range of sight, coming ever closer. Beads of sweat begin to drip from the man's brow as the darkness overtakes the outskirts of his small garden, for now it is only a short few meters away from its doorway. Against the ceiling shadows are now cast, swaying as if caught by a gentle breeze. The eyes of this man now grow wide with a sheer terror, as the shadow now appears to trickle through the cracks of his doorway and the gaps in the foundation. Slowly they envelop the floor, making its way closer, ever closer to the legs of the bed frame. A sea of blackness now surrounds the man, and now its floor seems to have been taken by unknown hands and replaced by a void. Unable to avert his vision from the floor, he begins to notice small ripples make their way across the darkness in a way which seems almost like that of a lake. Progressively, the ripples grow, becoming faster and larger, until they seem to be like waves of the purest essence of shadow, rocking the man on his bed to and fro, back and forth. Just as the floor is gone, the walls are as well encapsulated by the shadow's grip, and now seem to spin about wildly, one way and then the other. The doorway is still visible. Without a moment's hesitation, he leaps up from his bed and sprints outward, trying to maintain his balance as he wades the water-like shadow. Out into the middle of the clearing he fumbles, and there he looks around, his home no longer visible, only a moving shadow in its place. Looking down the ground, which continues to swirl and dance in such a fashion that it plagues the man with an undying dizziness, which causes him to collapse. On his hands and knees he feels a slight chill, which quickly glows into a feeling of it as if his blood had turned to ice. Onto his knees he goes to see if the moon still shines back with its faint glow, but alas, only in overwhelming darkness can he see. The stars have evacuated the sky just as the moon has left him to his isolation. The chill returns with such an intensity that he now shivers rapidly, but looking forward he sees a figure rise from the sanguine shadow, which appears to be like that of a man. But this man is different. He is tall, and his limbs awkwardly long and aloof. It walks slowly towards the frozen man. The closer it comes, the more a great fear kindles within the man's gut. Now only a mere arm's reach away, the figure tilts its head, casting its gaze down upon the man. To his greater fear, it would seem that where the face should be, only a smooth emptiness is present. He thinks it almost suited of the creature to rise from the shadow to have no face, but before the thought even completes, the figure extends its hand to the man in a welcoming fashion, almost as if it wants him to take it. Though against his better judgment, he acts upon it beckoning, and takes it by the hand. Though as contact is made, an overwhelming feeling of dread overtakes him. What he feels to be his very soul, and his ears are pierced by what seemed to be an inhuman shriek. A small bit of blood struggles out from both of his ears, as now his hearing has abandoned him, and all he is now capable of is staring into the void where the face should be. His vision blurs ever so gradually, and his last image before his sight escapes him is the creature whose hands he still grasps. Just as his eyes fail him, his strength does as well. Now he collapses upon the ground, still cradled by the figure of darkness, and life is released from his malevolent body. The faceless figure now turns its back upon the lifeless corpse which lies upon the ground, and it begins to make its way back toward the glaring edge, and with its unearthly shadows recede as well. Hours later, the sun begins to rise up over the forest, as it does every day, casts its rays through the abodes, windows, and doorways. Over the field, the light comes to warm the dew-covered grass, and all is as should be, all except for the darkened spot in the center of the clearing, where the grass's shade is significantly darker than the rest. The discoloring almost seems to resemble that of a man lying in the fetal position. How strange, for the man who lives in this house is nowhere to be found. He has not tended to his garden, nor is he bathing in the stream. Wherever could he be? The end. I hope you enjoyed